Sitting in the northern Atlantic Ocean, the island that would become known as Iceland was one of the last regions in the world to be settled by humans. At around 400 BC, a Greek explorer named Pytheas is said to have made a voyage from the British Isles to a region he called Thule. His account of what he accomplished has not survived, and instead we only know of his endeavors based upon the writing of others. Most historians think it is more likely that Thule was Norway, as opposed to Iceland, due to how remote Iceland is. In the region of southeast Iceland, several Roman coins dating to around 300 BC have been dug up. While it is possible that the Romans brought these coins to Iceland, it is far more likely, due to the remote nature of Iceland, that they were brought by settlers from a much later time. During the early 6th century AD, an Irish monk named Brendan is said to have sailed to uncharted lands north of Ireland, where he spotted a volcanic eruption. Researchers think it is possible that he may have seen this event in and around Iceland. At around 730 AD, an Irish monk named Bede wrote about an island called Thule to the north. However, just as in the case of Pytheas, Bede was most likely talking about Norway. Most historians agree that by the 8th century AD, Irish monks had settled upon Iceland. These monks strove to live a solitary lifestyle, so as to more intensely and effectively practice their religion. The remoteness of Iceland would have been ideal. In 793 AD, Vikings raided the monastery on the island of Lindisfarne. This raid is traditionally seen as the beginning of the Viking Age. Over the ensuing years, the Vikings made numerous journeys to and from the British Isles, in what is now present-day Norway. European and Viking naval navigation technology was still relatively unsophisticated compared to what was to come, as the Vikings did not even use compasses. This shortcoming, among others, caused many a Viking longship to get lost at sea. These blind wanderings are what eventually led to the accidental discoveries of the Faroe Islands and Iceland. According to legendary sources written during the 12th century AD by Ari the Learned Thorgilsson, a few Norwegians during the 9th century AD are alleged to have gotten lost during a trip to the Faroe Islands. They ended up ashore upon an unknown land, a land that was most likely Iceland. The Norwegians searched the island for human presence, but found none. Maybe because the land was unoccupied, these Norwegians, upon getting back to Norway, spread positive tales about the land among their people. A Norwegian named Naddoddur, who took part in the voyage, gave the land its first name, Snowland. Sometime afterwards, a Swedish man by the name of Gardar Svavarsson heard these fantastical stories and decided to go on his own voyage in search of the new land. Upon reaching Snowland, he sailed around it, built a dwelling on its northern shore, and spent the winter there. During the following spring, Gardar left for Norway. While out at sea, Notfari and two slaves that Gardar had brought along on his journey escaped their master and set up a farm in the northern part of Snowland. A little while after this incident, a Viking named Floki decided to set sail to Snowland. According to legend, during the voyage Floki released several ravens and followed their flight path until he came upon Snowland. Floki decided to settle Snowland, but unfortunately for Floki, his farm animals perished during the brutal winter. Lucky to be alive the following spring, Floki fled the harsh island and went back to Scandinavian lands with negative tales of the island. He even gave the island its current modern name, Iceland. Ingolfur and his brother Leifur were Norse warriors who had run afoul of their society due to having committed murder. They figured that relocating to an entirely new land would give them protection. Sometime around the year 874 AD, they made their way to Iceland, based on the tales of Floki. After spending some time in the northern part of the island, they eventually determined that the southern portion was the best place to settle. Therefore, they made their way back to Norway to try to generate funds so as to establish a prosperous and permanent settlement in Iceland. On the way back to Norway, Leifur raided Ireland, came upon a sword within a burial mound, and brought back 10 enslaved Celtic men to Norway. After these excursions, Ingolfur and Leifur then moved back to Iceland and decided to remain there permanently. This time around, Ingolfur brought along his wife, Halvaifruadote. After the first winter living in Iceland, Leifur's slaves killed him and several other free men in his group. According to the sources, Ingolfur survived uninjured, as he had made the proper offerings to the Norse gods. While out at sea, Ingolfur threw several wooden planks overboard and vowed to build a farm at the location where they drifted ashore. The wooden planks came to rest along a bay on the southwestern coast of Iceland. Ingolfur named this location Reykjavik, which translates to Smoke Bay. At the time, there may have been hot springs nearby the location, hence the smoke part in the name. Today, Reykjavik is the capital of the modern-day nation of Iceland. Allegedly, Ingolfur then sought revenge for his slain brother by putting the slaves who killed him to the sword, after finding them hiding on the Westman Islands. Westmen were the name the Norse gave the Celts, and this incident of revenge may be how the islands got their current name. In the wake of these early forays to Iceland, a slow and steady trickle of settlers began to make their way to the isolated island. By the middle of the 10th century AD, around 10,000 to 50,000 people lived in Iceland. Towards the end of the 10th century AD, this steady trickle began to slow. Aside from the minimal mark left by the Irish monks, these early settlers would have come across an environment largely untouched by human activity. By this point, however, the Irish monks no longer lived in Iceland anymore, as they were reportedly upset with the arrival of the Norse, as they did not want to live near people who were pagan. In the waters around the island, whales, walruses, and seals swam about among plentiful driftwood. Seagulls, puffins, and great auk flew about. Pristine rivers flowed and teemed with salmon and trout. Aside from foxes, there were no large terrestrial predators like bears or wolves. Vegetation grew on about 2/3 of the island. Trees were generally very short, and only on occasion did they rise above 6 to 10 feet. The climate, much as it is today, was wet and windy. In the interior arose mountains covered in woodland, shrubbery, birch, and moss. Marshes were everywhere, as were lakes, black sands, fields of steaming lava, and glaciers. By the end of the 10th century AD, pasture land for livestock such as cows, pigs, sheep, and horses replaced birch trees as the dominant vegetation on Iceland. The farming of sheep became the most widespread, as they were more naturally adapted to the cold environment. It is not known with certainty how peaceful this early period of initial settlement was. Although no forts have been dug up dating to this era, many burial mounds are located near the homes of the settlers, which could be a sign that the settlers were in fear of attack and wanted the things they cared about close to them. Most of these early Norse settlers were pagan. However, There were a few Christians among them as well. Some even practiced a bit of both faiths. The paganism as practiced by the Norse consisted of 12 gods and 12 goddesses. Sacrifices were required, though not of humans. People believed that everything that happened was already planned out and determined by the gods, and that trees, mountains, and waterfalls possessed supernatural powers. The vast majority of the earliest settlers lived on self-sufficient farms and had little reason to trade with neighboring communities. Bones of settlers unearthed from this time tell a tale of immense hardship, as evidenced by the worn and marred bones. Along with the harsh lifestyle, disease and conflict contributed to a life expectancy of around 30 to 50 years. At this time, landowners wielded immense power over their farm. They could kill their slaves without consequence, or exile free men working for them. They could also decide which newborns under their roof were deemed fit to live. Women had little to no actual formal power, beyond occasionally being able to influence certain decisions their husbands made. Eventually, these self-governing isolated farms began to coalesce into larger, loosely unified political entities. By about 930 AD, in the southwestern part of Iceland, Ustein Ingolfsson and other chieftains gathered together to establish an assembly that would encompass all of the island. This assembly was named the Althing, which means General Assembly. A cluster of fields near a lake in the southern part of the island was chosen as the site of assembly. Ustein Ingolfsson was chosen as the leader of the assembly. By the first half of the 10th century AD, the early settlers of Iceland more or less had become familiar with the entire island, an accomplishment made possible by the successful clearing of birch trees. The horse population also rose dramatically, all of which made communication between the different areas of the island easier. At around 963 AD, the Althing divided Iceland into 4 sections. Each section had 3 thinkis, except for the section in the north, which had 4. These regional thinkis gathered during the spring. Members from each of these regions, who knew the law of the land well, went to the Althing to sit in a council. A member of the Althing would read aloud the current law of the land, and then council from all corners of Iceland would change the current law as needed. An orderly society, based around the respect of private property, was much desired, as can be gleaned from draconian laws against wandering homeless people. It was up to the landowning elites and others to enforce laws like these on their own, as no police force or army existed in Iceland at this time. However, it is more likely that most disputes were settled through negotiations, overseen by a chieftain. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed my documentary, don't forget to like and subscribe, and check out my Patreon page at patreon.com/World Chronicles.